Highs and lows. Life has lessons to teach about highs and lows without expecting too much about how love comes and goes. I should have known better. It's not like it was something new, but for some reason I thought you were different. Now I see reality harsh and true. You knew what you wanted. I thought for some reason it was me. But now that I can see the entire forest, to you, I was just another tree. I was just something to play with, just another hand to bet. Just something to fill your needs. You already had a pair that you wanted to set. I was at peace with what I was. I found a comfortable plateau, but then you had to drop into my life, and like a fool, I bought into your show. And now I'm back here again, dealing with feelings I don't want to feel, grappling with new realities about myself that are way too harsh, too cold, too real. I don't need a new failure to remind me that I don't know how love rules. I didn't need to rise to these heights again just to find myself back in the same old whirlpool. I know how life works. I know that pain is part of life's cost, but I've been down this road too many times. I've lived through too many versions of Paradise Lost. I can pay this price in full. Lord knows I've certainly paid it before. I sort of took things for granted when I thought love couldn't come here anymore. But the heart goes where it wants to, even though every sign on the road read stop. I guess I just needed to feel something so much I just pretended the other shoe wouldn't drop. At least this time it was short, the cut wasn't all that deep. I don't think it'll leave a scar, but the way back is still hard and steep. And I feel more like an old prisoner who was granted hope of a reprieve, only to learn the hard way again that life still had an ace up its sleeve. So I'm back in that dark valley that I got lost in way back when. But it won't be that bad this time. I've been here before. I can get out again. I'll climb back to peace on the meadow. I'll learn again how to stay in the now. I know time heals all wounds. I just have to get through the where and the how. See, I'm just such a slow learner when it comes to highs and lows, when it comes to understanding reality about how love just comes and goes. Back in the day, for brief. It was a gray, cold morning. I stood there in the sand beside that new concrete pier in Hermosa, a few yards from volleyball games, listening to remembrances of the man I used to work with when I was young, back in the day. When standing in the sand didn't make my ankle ache, when I ran more than I walked, when I talked more than I thought, when I thought my life was a lock, when I thought I had all the time in the world. There were so many more people there, so many who said their lives had been touched, so many whose faces I recognized, and I couldn't find their names. I hung my head, and stared down at my brown shoes in the sand as the words and tears came down, as shouts from the volleyball games echoed through the gray, as a drunk yelled, "Hey, I knew him too!" And he stumbled away, and I tried to remember him. We taught together at the same school when I was young, back in the day, when I lived to play volleyball, when teaching was a means to an end, when I used to give so many days away, when I watched the clock almost as much as the kids, when time really didn't mean that much at all. I remember him, but without a clear memory. I can't even find a moment that sticks out, a conversation that still stands when I knew him. Years later, we worked together again at a different school. We said hello to each other, joked about the old days we'd shared, joked about common moments, people we knew when I was younger, back in the day. When basketball games at lunch were the best part of work, when I was still faking it at my job, when I still thought I'd move on to something else, when I thought fate would reach out and take me, when I still thought time was on my side. My sore ankle ached more insistently, my recently healed broken leg throbbed in the cold. I could hear the sound of the volleyball being spiked and the cry of success about the stories and tears floating by. And I leaned back and forth from one bad leg to another, my hands in my pocket, fiddling with my pen and keys, trying to remember one time we talked that I could remember beyond the day-to-day. All these old faces worn down by time, left as shadows I remember, without names, like it was all another lifetime, when I was young, back in the day, when I used to drill spikes into the sand, when pain was an abstract concept, when the future was full of success, when I still thought I could change the world, when I still believed I had time to kill. And I thought that beach was a great place to celebrate a life, and I thought that's why I'd like mine to close at the edge of the sea, waves breaking, kids laughing. I wondered who'd be there for me, who'd remember me, who really cared. And the reality sank in like my feet into the sand. Not many at all. Now when I was young, back in the day, when I never thought I'd be a cripple, when I never thought I'd be so at peace with being alone, when I never thought teaching would be a career, when I never cared about tomorrow, when I never thought I could run out of time. I hobbled away through the sand, back to my car, turned up the moldy oldies, tried to get some motion in my ankle, tried to remember one thing Keith ever said to me as the reality of my life slipped through the gray and the digital clock blinked off the seconds. Heading off into another empty, cold day, remembering moments buried in tunes from when I was young, back in the day. When I couldn't find words to say what I meant, when I couldn't find love in the middle of the love generation, when I couldn't find peace in the middle of the peace movement, when I didn't think what I did mattered at all, when I still believed it'd be better next time. I fell into the recliner, got lost in the ball game on the tube, clicked the remote, stumbled on The Godfather, made myself an offer I couldn't refuse. I thought about the faces and all the tears. I thought about my life and all the years. Although I'd followed the only path I knew, I'd ended up in this gray netherworld as my life so far from when I was young, back in the day. When I knew it all and took that for granted. When I thought winning meant more than playing. When I thought the future held out so much for me. When the moment was all that mattered. When I never thought my life would seem like such a long, long time. Before I understood what time flies meant, before I really learned that life is a one-way street, before I could comprehend that time was killing me, before I realized how much every second counts, before I found out there are no second chances, before it became really clear that time is always short. It's one of those hot, muggy nights when it's just too hot to think, when you're trying to find a piece of shade while you savor an ice cold drink. The ice cubes melt in seconds, condensing drops drip down the cold glass. The iPod is shuffling through cool songs, and you're just wishing the heat would pass. It's not like the Santa Anas, though, that heat, that blow in hot with desert heat. This air is so warm and sticky it feels like it could melt the street. With big billowing clouds over the mountains giving a mirage image of looming shade. But you know they're too far off for them to ever make it across the basin crusade. So you're just left to boil and burn and try not to let that heat ignite, that anger that's bubbling up inside, that reptile part of your brain that's always looking for a fight. Just take another gulp of that warming, cool drink, head back into that steamy hothouse, stick your head under the faucet sink. And for an instant it feels better, the cool water dripping down your face. But in a matter of seconds, the heat returns. You refill your glass, find that shady place, crush the ice between your teeth, gulp that cold beverage down as you savor that cool Coltrane jazz, and wait for the sun to set on the far side of town. Just another day in LA. Crack, 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 and everything on the corner stops. It's like all of a sudden everything is seen through a slow motion video zoom lens. Eyes center in on a dirty red Chevy and a hand out the back window, passenger side, holding a small, shiny, deadly metal kid killer. Glass shatters, people dive or run. There's a scream like a shot, he's got a gun. And then a crack, crack, crack again, like a dream exploding all around. Leaving a peeling rubber trail, the old power roars away, leaving a corner laid open and bleeding. Then come the screams, the shock. I'm hit. Where's my baby? In the distance, a siren wails, growing closer as everyone comes up for air except for the mother, turning to look into the back seat of her battered old Toyota and her beautiful baby girl, too shaken to cry, sitting in a growing pool of blood. Oh, God, no, she pleads. Did you see that punk-ass motherfucker fall as he yells as the Chevy fades into the distance and the mother holds her crying, dying baby in her arms, feeling helpless. As a child herself, I talked to her, I told her she was okay, but I couldn't do anything for her, she sobs. to a wall of TV cameras and a forest of microphones prying into it to find out how it felt. Just another day in LA. News reports say the crime rate is down, but not on that corner. In one part of town, a young mother in black lays her baby down one last time, saying a wrenching goodbye to a life gone far too soon. Across town, a party reigned, celebrating another heroic victory for the brave homeboys, saving their 4 square blocks from the invasion of gangbangers from 2 blocks away. Yeah, man, it's too bad about that baby, but, the streets are tough. In hours, that'll be yesterday's news, yesterday's tragedy, the tragic death of a 2-year-old, forgotten and flooded over in today's fresh blood from today's fresh victim. And from a radio in a car in that very same corner, we can hear, this just in, a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed in Compton tonight. We'll be right back.